helping people get healthy, get well, and get wealthy. So without further ado, Mr. Robbie.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really am excited to be here. I drove up from Salt Lake, and we had an experience that I want to share really quick because I feel like it's like the perfect analogy to what we experience in network marketing. Have you ever been driving down a street and you stop at a stoplight and you see a car next to you, and like all the people in the car like rocking out to some music and they're like freaking out? You look at them like, what the heck's wrong with these people? Have you ever experienced that? Well, we're the people inside the car. That's what we are, because everyone looks at us like, what the heck is wrong with you, right? But how many of you have also been in that car where you were the one who was rocking out to music and stuff? Raise your hands if you were, right? So I share this training today with a lot of hope that what it will do will help you to connect better with people that you care about, but it will also help you to approach your cold market in this business. In fact, if we could leave this class today with a greater confidence level in being able to connect with our cold market and to be able to connect with people we care about, can we consider this class today to be a success? What do you think? Yes. All right, so that's the goal that we're going to set. And I'm going to share with you a few things today on how we can do this, and this is going to benefit us not just in our network marketing lives, but in our lives in general, with our families and everything. So I want to quickly start by just giving you some ideas to get the most out of training. Obviously, take good notes today. Studies prove when we write something down, we're more likely to retain it. Whenever something's really, really important, I will have you grab your pen and write it down. Another thing that I like to do is I like to keep the group involved, just to keep the energy level up. One way I do that is I'll drop off at the end of a sentence sometimes and let you fill in the blanks. Because that way I know everybody's paying attention, right? And then we're all on the same page. Yeah, absolutely crush it today. You really are. And the team that's going to win the Super Bowl next year is the Colts is the right answer. And then the other thing is, get some. Let's participate. We're going to do a few what I call shared pairs today. I have some experience, but the collective experience that's in this room right here is always going to surpass anything that I could ever have myself. So I want to draw some of that out. The word education actually means to draw out. So I want to draw out some of that knowledge and expertise here today. There are people with so much more experience than I have on this topic. So what we'll do a couple times, I'll just have you turn to your neighbor for 10, 20, 30 seconds, discuss a concept, and then share some of your expertise. In doing so, being able to help those that are here today. We have people in this room. In fact, I want to see who drove the farthest. How many of you drove at least 100 miles to get here? Raise your hands. Okay, keep them up. Who drove at least 200 miles? 300, 400, 500, 600? Okay, so how far did you have to drive?
From California.
From California, that's helpful. That's the one on the left side, right?
Yeah.
So what is that? I don't have frame reference. Was that like
It was like 8 hours.
8 hours?
9 hours.
8, 9 hours. Like for me, probably like 7.5. Like driving. That's awesome though. Tom, you came here from Austin, Texas. Let's give everybody who traveled to be here a nice round of applause. Mike and I were talking about this. We were in Austin, Texas at the beginning of the year, and we had a bunch of team members that showed up from our team. And the people that showed up to that event are the people that are blowing it up right now. So what I'm saying is this meeting can absolutely be a catalyst for you in this business, and it can absolutely be a catalyst for you in the relationships that you can create with other people too. So I got 2 rules whenever I teach any type of training on persuasion, because what we're going to be discussing today is how we can persuade others and how we can connect better with others. And there are 2 simple rules. The first is use persuasion at an ethical level. I'm not here today to train you on something that's going to take you outside your comfort zone of outside your moral ground and your comfort zone. What I'm going to help you do today is to really start to look at the area outside of where you're comfortable as your growth zone, and in a place where you're going to be able to grow and be able to connect with others. And then the other is this: I always am open to critique. If someone comes to me and says, Robbie, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, I'm always open to listen. So I hopefully, here today, you can do the same. What I share today is not gospel. This is just some information that I have gathered myself and in my own experience that I'd love to share, and hopefully some of it will benefit you. but it's not all perfection. You have your own way of doing things, and I'm not here to try and change any of that. What I want to do is I want to help to just add and really exponentially help you grow on the things that you already know. All right, so improvement is achieved by a ripple effect. What I mean by this is I've got a ton of information to share today, but my hope is that you'll be able to pull one or two things out that you can immediately start to implement and practice. And so what I've done is I've designed this in a way that is extremely simple. I've got 7 specific things that I'm going to show you, and then we're going to go into something called personality types, which to me is one of the most important tools that I've ever learned in my life. And I know as I share it with you, you will really feel the value in using it in yours as well. So I just want to start with this question. Why should we learn to connect with everybody? Why is that important? Okay, say it again.
So we can get our message across.
So we get our message across. That's awesome. What do you say?
You're just constantly around everybody.
Say it again.
You're constantly around everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly around people, so, why not connect with them? Well, there was actually a study on this. 7,000 people aged 35 to 65 were followed for a period of 9 years. And this is what the study found. People who lack social and community ties are almost 3 times more likely to die of medical illness than those who have more extensive contacts. In other words, you don't connect with people, you're just more likely to die. Right? That's not really why, okay? The reason is this. I want you to think about this for a moment as I share this. The reason we should learn to connect with people is every single time that you're talking to someone and you're connecting with someone on a deeper level, you are literally speaking life into them. You're giving them longer life. When you can connect at a high level in this business, you're going to be able to help change people in ways that will benefit them medically by simply connecting at a higher level. Now, how many of you by raise of hand believe that that's a pretty valid goal for us to have, is to be able to speak life into others? Raise your hands. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And I want to start by just using Moringa as an example. I called Moringa the power plant, and I did it on accident, and then I thought of this analogy, and I thought it was interesting. I was listening to a book by John C. Maxwell on how to connect with others, and he talked about a power plant. Now, think of Moringa not specifically as a plant, but as a power plant. Like, it's got power and energy that it needs to get out there. We have a world full of people, and Moringa is this plant that has so much power, and each of us in this room, with very few exceptions probably, have an understanding of how powerful it is. But how good is a power plant if it's not connected to everybody? I want you to feel the weight of this, okay? What we can do is this. We have the capability of taking Moringa and sharing it with the entire world and creating so many different connections with so many different people. If the power plant sat stagnant, it would just be holding all of that power. You need to connect it to all those grid lines, and that's our opportunity to do that. And I hope that you can feel the weight of how important that really is. Amica said something about 300 plus diseases that they were showing that could be, in some way benefited through Moringa. Do you guys understand how important what we are doing really is? I really hope that you do, and that you take this opportunity very seriously, because there are people every single day that you walk right past that can benefit from Moringa. Instead of walking right past them, how many of you would love to have enough confidence where you could walk right up to them and within a few minutes develop a lifelong relationship? Who would love that? Raise your hands. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. First of all, emotions can occur on a subconscious level, meaning that the reaction that someone has to something, a lot of times the emotion that they have, they aren't consciously aware of that. And the reason I bring this up, and I'm going to show a few pictures here, and I want you, as I show these pictures, I want you to think about the way they make you feel. But see how quickly that emotion comes. But watch this. Watch how quickly emotion can draw us right out of this. Okay, try not laughing at that dude's face right there. Seriously. Okay, now this was on our Zizia Gold Cruise, and we had the opportunity to meet this guy right here. Remember this guy? Seriously, like one of the coolest.
Are you talking about the guy?
Oh, I'm talking about this. That's Are you saying I'm funny looking? No, that guy. Oh my gosh, what a great story. I mean, my favorite part about him is he was just growing like tons of weed in his backyard. I thought that was so hilarious, right? But what a great guy. like immediate emotion. The analogy I love to use is this. If you've ever been to the movies, you do realize that movies aren't real. Right? But you're sitting there in this theater and you're watching this white screen with a projected image and you feel the emotions, don't you? And those emotions can be felt by others the moment they see us too. Look at this lemon. Just sour. Like you can just like picture and imagine dropping some of that right on your tongue, can't you? Now Dr. Johnson stole this from me already, but I think it's great validation. Did your mouth start watering? Just even seeing that. So emotions, the reason I bring that up is it really brings me to my very first point. How do people feel when they meet you? And wouldn't you love to change the way people feel about you just based on your interactions with them? Now, first of all, what would you like people to feel about you when they meet you? What are some of the attributes that they would want you to have? So as you think about that, being positive, what a great transition. I'm going to give you 7 quick and really, really easy tips that you can use immediately. The moment you leave this room, while you're in this room, while you're connecting with me as I stand up here, these are tips that you can immediately implement. Tip number 1 is this: bring up something positive in their life. Positive conversations create positive feelings. So what a great transition, because you said you want people to know that you're positive. So if you're having a conversation with someone and you know they just went on a trip with their family, ask them about it. Have them tell you, how it made them feel. But don't feed them the information. Allow them to talk. Well, I love what Amika said. She said you need to do more listening than you do talking. So bring something up that's positive in their life, and this is scientific. When someone feels happy, then chemically they change. Well, if you're in their presence when they feel that way, they will start to naturally, on a subconscious level, start attaching that feeling to you. So how do people feel when they leave you? I'm going to say this, and it may step on a few toes when I do, but each and every one of us knows that there are those conversations we have with people that want to complain about things, even in our own organizations, even on my own team. They want to find something that has held them back. Well, the shipping department did this, my upline didn't do this, and this, and this. Help me understand how that benefits anybody. We're in this for the long term, right? If you get a bottle of oil from the shipping department that it's leaked, you really don't think that it's just going to fix it. They're going to take care of it. We have a great organization, so we need to keep that huge end goal in mind of, okay, what we're doing here is we're creating this natural health revolution, and we're helping people financially, we're helping them physically, emotionally, and on so many different levels. I got a quick example, and I can tell you from experience this works because of that young lady right there. That's my wife, Annie. So my wife, Annie, I told her about this book that I had just read. It's called The Science of Likability. And when I say read, I meant listened, because I don't read very much, but I definitely do listen. It was an audiobook. And in that book, it explained this, and I was like, that is so important and so true. So I shared it with my wife, and I have 5 years in a row been audited by the IRS. I love them. They're so awesome. And so every time I get a new notice, I'm just like, for the most part, like a couple of years, we've actually gotten money back from it, but they keep auditing us, and we keep just giving them the information that they ask us for. Well, we got another notice about something from last year, and it immediately took me in a tailspin. She can tell you, I'm not the type of guy that gets down very easy, but I got down immediately. And she brought up a vacation that we had taken and had me tell her about the vacation, and by the time that conversation was over, all of that was gone. I didn't even realize she was doing that, but that's how well it works. So as I was going through this, I actually showed it up to this point with my kids, and they love that little lemon part, right? So I'm sitting there, and my son Parker's there, and he's 8 years old now, and I turned to him and I said, Parker, how do you feel right now? And he goes, well, Dad, kind of bored. It's good, but yeah, kind of bored. He started laughing, right? I was like, that's funny, right? It's kind of for adults, right? And I said, well, we love doing adventurous things as a family, and so recently we took our 3 kids and we went skydiving. Indoors, but yeah, skydiving. So we go skydiving, so I said, Parker, remember when we went skydiving the other day? And he was like, oh yeah, it was so fun. And he went over and started laying on our ottoman and showing me how he did it. And I said, what was your favorite part? Instead of telling him what I knew his favorite part was, I let him tell me. What was your favorite part? He said, oh, it was when the guy took me all the way up in the air. I said, oh yeah, that was so cool. How did it feel? He kind of cocked his head back and he goes, well, I don't know if I should share this now. He turned to me and he goes, well, Dad, it kind of felt weird on my wiener. I was dying laughing over my phone. So you know when you like go on an airplane and it makes your stomach feel weird, and he goes, well, it kind of felt weird like down out there, down in that spot for me. And I was dying laughing, right? So we're laughing and everything, we're enjoying it, and then I turned to Parker and I said, okay, pal, thank you so much for sharing. How do you feel now? And he said, Dad, I feel happy. And it was such validation because I had literally written a note on this slide, test this before you share it. I am not willing to put my name out on something unless I know that it works. So I tested it and it worked immediately. Try it on your kids, try it on your family. Just bring up something in their life that's positive, and when you do that, just watch how they can, their emotions can change that quickly. We can have a huge effect on people, can't we? Now, the next one is to make meaningful eye contact. This one is tough for some. You know, they feel like it's like weird sometimes when you make good eye contact even. So one thing that is, you know, I do some speaking on the side as well, and one of the best critiques that I ever got is I had a lady come to me and she said, you did such a great job, but I never connected with you because you never made good eye contact with me. And I was like, I thought I did that okay, but she really brought that to my attention, how important that was. And so when I did, it's so funny, I can see all of you trying so hard to make eye contact with me. Okay, so you know, one thing I learned is, and this might sound somewhat creepy, but if you just look at someone's eyes long enough to recognize the color of their eyes, if you do that, now you're looking deeper into their eyes so you can connect better. So just even noticing the color of somebody's eyes. So as you make a connection, make good eye contact. Another thing is to smile. Okay, smiles bring joy, right? When someone smiles really big, do your very best to not smile back. It is so hard. But at the same time, don't smile right away. And there's a few reasons why. If someone comes up to you and they have this big, huge grin on their face, like, what's the motive, right? Like, what? Okay. It's like the car salesman, right? Hey, what's going on, right? Well, that's not going to cut it. That's one reason. But the other reason is this. When someone else makes you smile, how do you think that makes them feel? If you've ever had somebody having a tough time and you know, you walk up to them and you make them smile, how did it make you feel? So don't take away that opportunity for them to let you smile. And then, so when you walk up to them and you're talking to them, and then something happens and it just takes over your face, and you smile bigger and bigger, and they feel as though they're the cause of that smile, that's going to give them an internal feeling of happiness, and it's a deeper connection you can have with them. So smile. Now, there was a study that showed that you're 90% more trusted when you do smile. So, you know, this business there's a lot of trust involved. You know, Amika talked about Landon being her sponsor and enrolling her into this business, and there was some trust that was there. Well, how do you create trust with someone, right? So that's another one. That's our third tip. The fourth one is send the right signals. I have a perfect example, and it's somewhat tough for me to show you this because it's me that did such a terrible job with this. But I was asked at regionals to do a testimonial for ripsticks. And when I was asked to do the testimonial, I am so analytical. You can ask Mike. I analyze every word said by every single person. It's something I have a hard time shutting off. So I had about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes to prepare, and I thought about what I wanted to say, and I was so interested in what I was about to say that as you watch my body language, I'm not even going to put music or volume on. I don't know if you guys have seen the testimony or not. I was extremely happy with what I said and extremely unhappy with the way I said it. So just watch, and we'll watch for just a little bit because it's going to make me super uncomfortable. We're going to watch this with no sound, and I want you to tell me what it is like what signal I'm putting across.
Keep talking.
So it's not terrible body language, but where's my smile? Like, where's my excitement? If you guys have seen this whole, there's 4 different people that were interviewed that they actually have on the video, and I'll show you another girl just before me, and just show you her body language. But do I really look excited about Zija? So, I mean, I feel terrible that this is going to get out there to the world. And first of all, I look like my mustache, because of the way the lighting is, I look like I got a Hitler mustache. Right? So, okay, but I don't. So my words don't match my signals. But watch her. Okay, now she uses her hands quite a bit, and there's no right and wrong way to this. But she has so much more energy than I have. She has so much more facial expression. She smiles, so she's giving a better signal non-verbally. So there's a really cool study that shows that that what we say, it actually only represents about 7% of what people perceive. The other 93% is tonality of our voice and our body language, the signals that we send with our body language. So if you're talking to someone about Zija, you're talking to someone about a mayo, you're talking about ripsticks, and you say, "I'm so excited about it." Seriously though, are you? Are you really? Or are you constipated, right? You know, so make sure that your enthusiasm is matching what it is that you're saying, so that you can send the right signal with your body language. One thing that I like to do, and this might sound a little foofy to you, is I like to try and point my heart to somebody, and I like to picture my heart trying to connect with them, and I point it to a group. And it's interesting when I get up in front of a large group of people, and I'll stand there for a moment, and I'll stand there, and it's like I'm almost like trying to raise out my heart, because I'll stand there, and it's interesting because I know the times that I don't do that it takes me longer for me to build rapport with a group. So it takes me longer to build trust with somebody. One definite signal that we don't want to send is we don't want to send this, because it closes off our heart, it closes off our body. So there's a time and a place where you can do this. If someone else is doing this, there's something called mirroring where you can match what they do as well to build rapport. But for the most part, if you can keep that open up, and you just look at the difference in my posture, this as opposed to this. I mean, this means, okay, prove it to me, right? And so there's a lot to be said about how we can send the right signals there. Now, another thing is this. Availability requires intentionality. What I mean by that is you have to intentionally be available to others. You have to intentionally communicate with others and connect with others. And if you make this an intentional act, I promise you from my own experience that you will have so much fun in this business, and you can be the cool person in the car, not the weirdo, not the one that's saying, "Oh, those guys are weird." But like, what is it that they're doing, right? What if you were walking around with such positive vibes and such a big smile that people literally walked up to you and said, "Why are you so happy?" I have multiple times wanted to walk up to Amika and say, "Why are you so happy?" She's always smiling, right? So make yourself available. Another one is to call someone by their name. Now, there's another study that showed the #1 word that we like to hear in our own language is our own name. So if you are going to introduce yourself, and you introduce yourself by name, then more than likely they'll share their name. The more information you give on an introduction, the more you're going to be able to get. So if I were to come up, I'm sorry, what's your name? Joe. I'm Robbie. I'm from Utah. How are you? Good. Okay. Now, if I introduce myself to Joe as Robbie from Utah, more than likely Joe's going to say, "I'm Joe from Boise." So, you know, if it calls for it in any type of interaction with someone, the more information that you share up front about yourself, the more they're likely to share with you. So say, you know, "I'm Robbie, I'm from Utah, and I absolutely love working out." Well, if I'm at a gym and I make that comment, more than likely they're going to come back at me with something similar. So give more information on that greeting and call someone by their name as much as you can. Now, another thing is to put the spotlight on them. Now, I've thought about this and wondered if I should share it, but why do you think that we feel a need to share all of the details of Marika with somebody? Do you think that it possibly is because, not just because we want them to have the information, but we also love sharing that information. So maybe we're making it a little bit about us. Maybe we like to be, right about things, or we like to be an expert on something. So if you literally envision while you're having a conversation that there's a spotlight on them constantly, in doing that, well, more than likely you're going to try and get information from them and ask them questions as opposed to trying to constantly have the spotlight on yourself. So put the spotlight on them. Maturity doesn't come with age, sometimes only age comes. Jonathan Maxwell said that. The reason I put this quote in here is this: we really need to be open to the idea that as we have progressed in our life, that there are still things that we can get better at. And when we have an open mind to that, I know these little tiny things can make a huge, huge impact in our lives. Number 7 is to ask them to do you a favor. Now this seems a little bit weird, because if you don't know someone and you ask them a favor, doesn't that seem like you should be offering them a favor? Now, if you have someone who may not be your best friend, maybe even a frenemy, right? We don't have enemies, right? But frenemy. If you ask them to do you a favor, why do you think that would be a positive thing?
Trust.
Okay, trust. Why else?
They're adding to you.
Okay, they're adding to you. So I want you to think about it. Somebody said that they're helping. Someone said help back there. How do you personally feel whenever you help somebody else? How does that make you feel? Good. If you ask someone to do you a favor, what you're doing is you're giving them the opportunity to have the same feeling you would have in doing something nice for somebody else. So by asking them to do you a favor, now I'm not saying like, hey, I just met you, will you drive me to the airport? I'm saying like, hey, can you grab me that pen right there? Or could you please hold the door for me? And what I want to do is I want to do our first discussion group where we'll turn to our neighbor for, let's do 30 seconds to a minute. And I want you guys to come up with a few different favors that you could ask somebody to do for you as a peak tool in this business. I'll give you one example. If you were piquing someone's interest, maybe there's someone that's close to you, and you asked them, you said, hey, will you do me a favor? Would you mind, I've got something I'm really passionate about. There's this video that explains it really well. I'll send that to you. It's only 5 minutes long. Would you do me a favor and give me some feedback? So now you're asking them to do something nice for you, and that's going to get their foot in the door. Now I love posture. Posture means I'm the one that holds the carrot. You and I, we have posture because we have moringa. We have a mayo. We have clinical grade. We have posture. We're not giving them posture by asking them to do us a favor. What we're doing is we're putting them in the funnel. You've all heard the analogy, the funnel in this business, you've got to constantly feed that by piquing people's interest and feeding that funnel, and they slowly come out the bottom, right? Well, we feed that funnel through piquing. So if you can ask them to do you a favor in some way, then now we can start feeding the funnel, and then once they're in the system, now we have the capability of moving them forward to the next step, right? We plug them into our upline. We follow that process, that simple process that we have. So we're going to take, we got about, let's go 30 seconds to a minute on this, and we'll time it. Turn to your neighbor. I want you to come up with 1 or 2 things together, and then I'll have you share what are some favors that we can have others give, offer us in return in this business. Go.
I'm Heather. Hi, Tyler. Actually, my husband's the one over there. But she's I'm like, he's really care bear. I'm learning as along the way, yeah. So, how long have you been doing this? Can you do me a favor? We need to take this package and a couple of us and try it out. Right. And I don't want to take it home.
All right, like 5 more seconds. Then we're gonna wrap up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, now turn to your neighbor. All right, turn to your neighbor, high five them, and say you're awesome.
You're awesome.
Okay, I want to get some feedback on this. What are some of the things that you guys came up with? Raise your hand if you had a good one. Go ahead, Paul.
Something I was listening to a while ago was talking specifically about this, and they said when you're doing like a home party,
A little louder, please.
when you're doing a home party and you want to get like people there, and you know somebody might not be interested so much, you say, hey, I'm doing this new thing in my house. I'm trying this thing out. It's a new business venture, and as my friend, will you come and just support me and just be there to be a familiar face for me so that I can feel comfortable talking to you.
Yeah. How many of you love to support the people that you care about? Raise your hands. That's awesome. Thank you. What else? Not everybody wants. Go ahead.
So, mine was communicate with the table so you don't tell what you find most exciting about it.
That is really, really good because now she's broken it down. And if you tell somebody what's the most exciting thing about it, as they're watching the video, what is going through their mind? I better find something exciting, right? Doing that is so good. What's your name? What is it? Okay, I can't see it. Joy. Awesome. Joy, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's great. Something that I learned is if you tell somebody they're going to feel something, they're more likely to feel it. If I'm going to tell you a joke up here, I'm going to start that joke probably by saying you guys are going to get a kick out of this because now you know it's a joke. My jokes aren't that good, so you know it's coming, so then laugh, right? So same thing exists with Moringa. So when you share product with somebody, here's an idea. Instead of just giving them the product and saying here's the best nutrition on the planet, what if you shared it with them and gave them 2 or 3 different things that you know others have felt in taking that product right as you hand it to them? You know, a lot of people have told me that they feel like a greater level of focus. They have a higher energy level, and just list a few things. If you tell somebody they're likely to feel something, they're more likely to feel it. And you know how I know that's true? Because I had no idea that there were 36 anti-inflammatories in Moringa. Now this is really hard to share. I lost a good friend yesterday to addiction, and it's something I suffered with for 3 years. And it's so hard to share because of how much he helped me overcome my addiction. And we lost him yesterday. And he was in my funnel. And I feel a responsibility to have him involved in the business, and I almost feel like I failed. But I went back and read all my text messages to him, and I read all of my instant messages to him, and I did everything I could to connect and to try and help him. And I share that because I had no idea that there were benefits to Moringa like anti-inflammation. And I have had 5 knee surgeries. And after my 3rd time I tore my ACL on my left leg, my doctor said it's the worst injury I've ever seen to a knee. It wasn't a car wreck or a motorcycle accident. And he said, you're never going to run, you're never going to play sports, you're never going to do those things. And that was like a death sentence for me because I love that. That's what I grew up doing. It's what I love competing. And that's really all I need to hear from him because that drove me to being able to overcome the injury. And I worked so hard through my physical therapy, but the problem was I got addicted to my pain meds in return. And for 3 years, I almost lost my family. 3 years I suffered with that. And part of the fear was that if I do injure myself again, I'm going to relapse. And I got back to being able to do the things I want. I could still dunk a basketball, not very well, but I could still do it. And the problem was that I was getting so inflamed in my knees. And so if I played basketball, it was 4 or 5 days of swelling. Until February 23rd of last year. I remember the date because I remember it was the date that Annie, my wife, had shared with me that she had lost 17 pounds. And I had watched the transformation happen. And I was like, there's something to this Moringa stuff. I was like a total, like a mayo, like what's the word, Mike? Whore? Yeah. Like I absolutely loved the mayo, right? And that was my thing. That's really inappropriate. I apologize. My mom would kill me if she heard that. But I didn't know that was, I didn't see Moringa. I thought it was the green swamp drink and oils was why I had started with this, right? And then a couple months later, I took a run in Washington, D.C., and as I was running, I got to a point where we were at the Lincoln Memorial, and we were 3-4 miles away from our hotel, and I knew my knees were going to swell up like cantaloupes. You can ask my wife. They would literally swell to the point where they looked like I had 2 cantaloupes for knees. And it was rough. And I remember thinking, I'm going to be so sore tomorrow, and my knees are going to look terrible, and they're going to be so swollen. I didn't have an opportunity to ice my knees, which would always help. I woke up the next morning, 0 inflammation. And to this day, I played basketball last Tuesday very, very poorly, I might add. And in that game, it was really the first time I played in a year. And I had absolutely no, I mean, my knees were a little sore, but I had no inflammation from that. Had somebody told me from the beginning that there were 36 anti-inflammatories, I would have known that, and I would have recognized it sooner. I recognized it months after the benefit was there. So I share that with you for a few different reasons. First of all, to help you comprehend and understand why I'm so passionate about this. I don't fear getting injured. I don't want to get injured. Knock on wood, I hope that I don't. But I do know that if I do, I've got something that's going to help me to get through and, you know, keep me from relapsing and to keep me so that my knees aren't swelling to the point where I can't enjoy my life. And that gives me a lot of hope, and that gives me a lot of pride in being part of this organization. But I also share it so that you're well aware that if you share with other people the possible things that they would feel, they're more likely to feel them. Does that make sense? Okay? So ask them to do you a favor. Now this next section, first of all, of those 7 things, I'm not saying go out and do all 7. That would be absolute overkill. But if you were to go out and just try and implement 1 or 2 of those things, do you feel like you can connect better with people? Okay, so start trying to do that. The next section that I want to talk about is this. Has anybody here ever done any type of training on personality types? Raise your hands if you have. Okay, so maybe like the color code or maybe like DISC training. Well, I have created my own, I actually bought this company from somebody else a couple years ago because I fell in love with it. I have never, ever known somebody that I've shared this type of information with that didn't immediately see how this could benefit them in their relationships. Now, every one of us is a collection of strengths and weaknesses and different personality attributes. So this is not a perfect science here. But at the same time, we will typically have 1 primary personality type and 1 secondary, and the more personal development that you do, the more you develop the strengths of each personality type. But unfortunately, because of that, each of us views the world in our own way. So when we look at the world in our own way from our own window, it doesn't look like this. It looks like this because we're not able to see the world the same way everyone else does. What personality types can help you do is it can help you see the world through other people's eyes. So the goal of what we're about to share today is so that you can see the world not just through your own eyes, but through the eyes of others as well. In doing so, you'll be able to understand yourself. That's the objective of this section. But the result of this section is that you're going to be able to understand others. And as you understand others, you think you're going to be able to communicate better with them. So before I share this, I have one quick story. There was a young lady that I taught this training at CJ headquarters back in October of a year and a half ago, I guess. And you always hope that people get benefits whenever you teach something. Have you ever given someone a sample of moringa and just thought, man, I really hope they benefit from this, and then maybe you weren't able to follow up and don't know if there was a benefit that they had in their life? I don't get the opportunity of knowing the benefits that people have from any training that I've ever given or any product that I've ever offered necessarily. So this meant a lot to me. And when we went to Las Vegas for the regional event, they had me and my sponsor, John Nelson, get up on stage. It was us 2 and Jerem Dastra. And they asked us to share a few things about some of the things that we had learned in the business. And I shared a story about weightlifting, and I'm not going to share the story because it's not appropriate. I've already done enough inappropriate things anyway. But it's appropriate in front of 1,500 people, just not in front of 40. But in that story, I had a lot of people come up to me after and shared with me how they had a similar experience. And as I was leaving, a young lady named Ann McGarry came to me. And some of you may know her. And she said, Robbie, I don't know if you remember me. I said, well, I remember your face, you know, like with so many, we talk to a lot of people and sometimes it's hard to remember names. And I said, I remember your face, but can you give me some more background? And she said, well, last October you gave a training on personality types, and I learned who I was, and I learned who my boss was. And she immediately started crying. I was like, I'm sorry it was that bad. So I was trying to help, right? And I gave her a big hug, and she said, I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but it changed my life. He said, I learned that I'm one of the personality types and that my boss is another. And for years we have battled. And for years I have just not understood why he treated me the way he did. But once I started looking at the world through his eyes, I understood him. And now we have a great relationship. And I go into work every single day and it's different. She said, that training changed my life. Now I'm not expecting the same result for everybody here, but I want you to understand that this is not just about building a bigger business. This is not just about building a bigger downline. This is about connecting with people you care about. You want to connect with your kids better? You want to connect with your spouse better? You want to connect with your friends, your family? If you truly focus over the next couple of minutes as we go through this, I know you'll be able to do so. Abraham Lincoln once said, I don't like that man, I must get to know him better. Do we truly understand why people are the way they are? What I'm about to share with you will allow you to become someone who can instantly recognize and adapt to any relationship to make that relationship stronger. The first personality type that I want to talk about I call the Earth. Now the Earth has a pattern of behavior that's very open and indirect. Their priorities are relationships and communication. Their pace is fairly slow and relaxed. Now, they're typically highly emotional people, and their motives are purely to benefit others for the most part. If you've ever heard, hurry up, worry too much, make up your mind, you're so sensitive, or you sure ask a lot of questions, or if you have others that you know that would fit that mold, chances are they may have a lot of Earth qualities in their behavior. Some of their strengths are they're very easy to get along with. They're some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. They have great listening skills. In fact, my friend Dave is a Earth, like 100% almost, and I have the greatest conversations in the world with him because he doesn't say a word. He just sits there and I talk. He's listening and listening and listening. So they have great listening skills. They're very, very loyal. They're team players. They avoid conflict. They cooperate. They nurture. They support. And they're very dedicated. So as I share this, maybe you're starting to resonate with some of these qualities yourself. Some of the possible weaknesses is they do take things personally. They tend to be overly sensitive and emotional. They often watch things happen instead of make things happen. Do you know anybody in your organization right now that you can think of that has the biggest heart in the entire universe, and really all they end up doing is getting on Facebook and answering everybody's questions so that they can help them instead of being out actually doing a business? It's very likely that they're a nerd. They do tend to conform, they're less than assertive, and they're not typically goal-oriented. Now once again, it doesn't mean that we have all these qualities and this is who we are. These are just possible weaknesses. They love peace, they love animals, they love just being happy. These are some of the kindest, most gentle-hearted people that you'll ever know. They definitely don't like pushing, aggressive people. That really irritates them, especially the people we call bullies. So if you are dealing with an Earth and you're dealing with them in this business and you're having a conversation with them, before I take a picture, I'll get to that later. Okay? If you're having a conversation with them, what are some of the things that you think they would want to hear from you? Encouragement, how you're going to support them, how you're going to, how they can help so many other people. If you're having a conversation with them and you're using some of those things, that's more likely to resonate with them. Here's one thing I found is with the Earth, though. Great story. So we were at our house, and my mom is like total Earth. Like, she absolutely loves to help other people. That's her entire motive in life. And she is the best mom I could have ever asked for. She is so sweet, but have you ever had someone like that, parent, grandparent, that's on the phone when kids are being crazy? Okay? There's this threshold point where they will immediately turn on you like mama bear. And if they ever feel somebody that they love, or somebody that matters to them, or something that matters to them is being attacked, well, they will immediately go into action, and they're the ones you do not want to piss off because they'll snap. So my mom, the reason I love this Okay, are we starting to resonate a little bit, right? So you're on the phone, right? Everything's great. She's talking to her friend, and she's like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, things are great. Guys, be quiet. Yeah, things are going so well, right? Guys, I'm on the phone, please. Yeah, you're having. Shut up! I'm on the phone. So that's the earth right there. You can't push it too far for too long. So one of the signs of the earth is they often will ask who else is doing this. They want to know who else is involved. So they may ask a lot of questions where they're saying, well, who's your upline, and who else is doing this with you, and who. So if you ever hear the questions that start with who a lot, for a lot of times that's going to be a sign of an earth, and they strive for a lot of acceptance. They want to please people. One of the reasons they even have a challenge sometimes taking action is because they want to please so many people. They're looking at all the different angles, and they're saying, wow, I can help this person, and I can help this person, but if I do this, then I won't help this person, so I can't do this. So so they might stagnate a little bit because of that. We can help them act on these decisions by basically showing them that they can help others, that they can help those that are close to them. So if you're discussing the product opportunity with them, and you're talking about how much money they can make, they're not motivated by that. If you're talking to them about the sweet Benz that they can get for free, they're not motivated by that. They are absolutely motivated by helping other people. Now, fear of loss, there's two reasons people make decisions, a hope for gain and a fear of loss. A hope for gain is, well, I'm going to get something if I do this. A fear of loss is, I'm going to miss out on something if I don't. So fear of loss will motivate them, and I'm not the type that will ever threaten. The only time a threat works is when it's enforceable. You can't threaten someone and say, well, listen, if you don't drink moringa, you're just going to be fat your whole life. Well, that's a threat, okay? Well, what's a threat that would be enforceable is if your kids are doing something and you say, listen, if you do that, then I will send you to your room. That's a threat, but it's an enforceable threat. So it needs to be enforceable to use fear of loss. So we're not trying to threaten people here. We're trying to help them understand and say, listen, you have the capability of helping so many people. Wouldn't you love to be able to do that? So what path are you on right now that's allowing you to help so many people? Because if that path doesn't exist, the path is clear, it's here, it's for you right now. You can follow this path and help others. Because you just told me that the path you were on wasn't going to allow you to do that. That's fear of loss in a really soft way. You connect using testimonials, emotion. Help them understand that there are other people that have had good experiences, and they will resonate with that. They're motivated by peace, harmony, and togetherness. That's what's going to help them get motivated. So help them find ways that they can do that within the business, and they'll have more interest. Okay? Now, if we were looking at all the numbers, it's about 35% of the population is going to fit that mold. And obviously, there's going to be give or take on that. But what I've found so far is it is a high majority of network marketing people, because if you think about what our business really does, we're in the people business. We're in the business of helping so many others. So that resonates really well with them. The other thing I found is it's about 173% essential oilers, right? Like so many essential oilers, right? Okay, so what that means is that if we can understand who they are, maybe that doesn't resonate with me. Maybe I'm not a nerd. But if I can see that somebody else is, then in seeing that and being able to realize that, now I have a better way to connect with them. If they have a motto, it'd be this: let's be friends and work together as a team so we can be one big family. And if they have a theme song, it's this. Okay, now the second one I want to go over is called the lightning. Now, the lightning is driven by something different. They're very self-contained, and they're very indirect. Their priority is tasks and facts. They want the details. They want the systems. They want to know how many ingredients are in super mix and what's the proprietary blend. And you say it's proprietary. Why aren't they sharing it? Well, because KFC doesn't give away their secret sauce either, right? Their pace is fairly slow and systematic. It doesn't mean that they're slow people. It means that they make decisions a little bit slower, because what they're doing is they're analyzing data, they're analyzing facts along the way. If you try and sell that person on the ability to help a ton of people, it's not going to resonate as well with them. Now, if you've ever been told you're too literal, you take things too seriously or you need to lighten up a little bit, that's fairly often lightning. What lightnings are probably doing right now is this. They're probably trying to think in their own mind like this. You can't classify me, dude. I know myself better than this, right? So the lightnings are just going, they're just going, okay, get to the strengths really quick so I can write every strength down. I'm going to type it up on my computer and I'm going to email it to my Dropbox so I have it forever, right? Okay? Very detail oriented. They're accurate, they're precise, they're efficient, they're very well read. They typically highly educated accountants. You're going to have a lot of people that deal with numbers or any type of job where there's those medial details that would drive so many other personalities. Like, how in the world would anybody ever choose to be an accountant? Like, what? Are you kidding me right now with all these numbers and trying to figure that? Like, that drives me insane. I tried to balance a checkbook. What? What's a check? That stuff, those numbers and things, it's harder for me. They're very inventive and reliable, and they're very goal-oriented. So these are the people that are going to be in your organization that are like, okay, I've got to learn the system, I've got to learn every process, I've got to create my own PowerPoint, I've got to make sure that I've got this, and this lined up, and once I have all of this, then it's time to start the business. Well, that's why they're going to have a bit of a challenge sometimes getting going forward, because every one of us can picture people in our own organization that have overanalyzed this whole thing. And I'm the king of that from the very beginning in this. I have a lot of this specifically in my own personality because I am very detail-oriented in certain ways. They tend to be good problem solvers, and they tend to be very, well, I wrote OCD, but what I really meant to write was neat. They're very neat. Okay? In fact, what are the lightnings looking at right now on this screen? That's perfect. Back to the pictures, perfect. What else? What lightnings? What else is wrong with this? Strengths, yeah, what else? I don't think that's used correctly. Maybe it is, okay? So, it's not. K-R. Yeah, exactly. So I did that on purpose. Hopefully everybody caught that. But that's the point where it's like, lightnings are looking at that going, come on, seriously, get the screen straight. Like, what is going on here? Like, can we just move the screen? Okay, there we go. Now it's finally, now should we start over? Right? Okay, possible weaknesses, paralysis by overanalysis. If you've already gone through like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different exposures and you feel like you're just now rehashing the same information you gave them on the second exposure, but they're still investigating, we need to be conscious of that because we also need to be very aware that their decisions are made on a logical way. So if we're trying to get them emotionally attached to a product or emotionally attached to an opportunity, then they're going to have a tougher time really resonating with that. They love details, facts, figuring things out, taking things apart. If you guys have the kids that they want to put the Legos together, but they're going to follow the instructions. They're not going to build their own. They're not going to create. What they're going to do is they're going to go off the instructions. The rules are what they care about. Lightnings, they're very regimented. What I do when I'm out traveling, if I want to get something for free from a hotel, from a rental car place, from a flight attendant, anything, if there's a couple people to choose from, I'm going away from the lightning because they're going to follow the rules. If I walk up to them and I try to connect with them and try and get some free bottles of water, I do this all the time just to try and get things. I'll walk up to the front desk and I'll just be like, I've probably got like 8 bottles of water in my bag, and I'll just be like, hey, how are you? They'll tell me. I say, you seem like you're like so fun and happy and excited. Is that true? Is that how you are? I'll be like, yeah, totally. I go, you love to help your customers, don't you? Yeah, I do. Is that why you're going to give me some waters? Oh, yeah, I can give you some waters, right? If I do that to a lightning, I'll be like, oh, give me water. Why do I give you water? I mean, they're $2 each, okay? If you want to do it, what's your room number? I can type that in really quick, right? I'm going to do that. Now, they love being on time, okay? They love being right, being precise, and being accurate. So the likes that they have are typically, if you think about it, they're going to be very regimented, scheduled, goal-oriented, time-oriented. Their dislikes are being wrong, being disorganized. They don't like obnoxious people because they're not in it for the fun of it. They're people that, I'm not saying they don't have friends and that they can't be fun, but their motives are a bit different than others that are really driven by fun. And they don't like pushiness. They don't like that salesman that's using sales hooks over and over. So if you're trained on sales and you're using those tactics, they're going to get turned off by that. And they don't like people who aren't on time. Why is that important? If you've got a plug call and you've got a lightning on the other end of that plug call, you better be on time or you're immediately representing, you're already setting the wrong signal. All right? Can you see how there already is merit to the business by understanding this? within my team, I did a training on this early on in Zizia, and when I get on a plug call, I'll ask my team, what personality type are they? I'll say, oh, they're an earth or they're a lightning. Well, now as the one doing the plug call, I know that they're not going to be motivated by, being able, if they're a lightning, I know they're not going to be motivated by the fact that this is the funnest business that exists on the planet. They don't care. They do want to know that it can give them safety and security. They do want to know that it can get them, to be able to have peace of mind. They want that. They're going to ask questions that start with the word how. How are we going to do this? How is this possible? How was your product formulated? How did you guys source your oils? Right? That's a sign of a lightning. Their decisions, like I said, they're very slow with their decisions. Not that they're slow individuals. They're typically some of the smartest individuals. They're slow with the way they make their decisions. Very analytical. Now, they're going to act when it makes logical sense. So if you overcomplicate the process with a lightning, then that will immediately turn them off. Okay? They see practical use. The system is planned out and it gives them security. If you really want to help a lightning understand that this business can be valuable, you take them through peak, pass, and plug exactly the way it should be done. And if you do, by the end of the process, what have they done? So let's say, what's your name? Annette. Okay, so let's say Annette is recruiting me. I'm the prospect. She's the distributor, and she's recruiting me, and I'm a lightning. She takes me through the process. Okay. First thing she would do is pique my interest, whatever that is. What type of tools do you think would pique the interest of a lightning? Okay. AGX. Right? Gene expression. Okay. Anything that deals with science is going to really excite them. I'm not going to send them a Ripsticks video or a Luke Curry video because that's not going to resonate with them. But what definitely would resonate with them if you sent them a video of Dr. Plant, Harvard to a lightning is like, yes, right? So if you want to sell lightning, talk about those types of things, right? So she sends me an AGX video. Well, she piqued my interest. She passed me along to a tool. I come back. She gets on the phone. She said, what did you like best? The product, the opportunity, a little bit of both. And I tell her, I love the product. That's awesome. Well, she responds with, oh, that's awesome. I love the product as well. What questions do you have so I can answer them correctly for you? Well, I was interested in moringa, and there's 92 nutrients. Can you tell me more about that? She says, that's awesome. I love that there's 92 nutrients as well, and I want to make sure and answer your question right. Can you hold on for 1 second? She gets off the phone, gets her plug on. She puts Joe on the phone. Joe gets on the phone. She feeds him information about who the individual is, a little bit more about how maybe they interacted with them, what video they watched, and then Joe gets on the plug call. She introduces Joe, she edifies him. Joe immediately edifies her right back so that she has more value. And so now Joe is in charge of that call. He goes through that call by the end. Hey, we are looking to partner with people that are motivated to really be able to follow a process step by step. That's what a lightning wants to hear. If I were to say at the end, if Joe were to say at the end of the call, hey, we're looking to partner with people that are highly motivated and love to have fun. Okay, cool. Well, that's not me. So see ya. Right? Well, if he does it right, he says, we want people that are willing to follow our system, and then he reminds me the process she took me through. What did she actually do? Think about it. What did she do? She piqued my interest, and then what? She said, go watch a video. Do you know anyone on this planet that couldn't ask somebody else to watch a video? Seriously. Okay? After I watched the video and I came back, I asked her a question. What did she immediately do? She turned it to Joe. Now, why didn't she just answer the questions? Because it's not duplicatable, right? So she doesn't answer the question. She has Joe do it. It's not to hold information back from me. She's giving me a better opportunity in this business if she doesn't answer those questions. Do you guys realize that? If she answers all those questions, I think I got to answer all those questions. Now I'm thinking in my head, I don't know if I can answer that. 92 nutrients, gene expression, what is epigenetics? I don't get it. So now there's that fear that may develop. But in just passing me off to Joe and allowing Joe to do it, Joe can then remind me, hey, listen, she didn't even answer your questions, I did. And then he can ask me the question, do you feel like you can help people to watch a video? That's a totally nice question. Do you feel like you can have other people answer questions for you? Yeah, I can do that. By the end, you've made it so simple that why in the world would anybody say no to a business like that? So if you take them through the process correctly, you do them a better service, especially with these guys. You're going to be able to connect to them with logic, details, systems, numbers, and data. And we have all of those things at TJ. And that's not something every company can say, but we absolutely can. We have the details, we have the science, we have all those things that resonate with them. Lightnings are very detailed processes and sophisticated systems. They want to know what the back office is going to look like for them and those types of things. And in the right time frame and with the system, we can share that. It's about 35% of the population as well, so you've got a very large portion that's either Earth or Lightning. Documentation beats conversation, show me the facts. That's their motto. Share with me what the facts are on this stuff. And what's great is you can actually share facts and still allow yourself to be telling your story and sharing it the right way. Now, the next personality type is probably thinking right now, like, I'm kind of falling asleep at this point. Like, can we talk about, like, can we just like get through this? The thing is over because it's like I feel like you've already gone too long, Robbie. They don't have quite the same attention span as the Lightning. The Lightning can literally sit, and they typically sit fairly high up, right? And they will take notes, and they can do it for hours because they are soaking up that information. The Sun, on the other hand, not necessarily the same attention span. They're the ones that are really, you'll hear the words random, creative, they're idea people. Suns are very open, very direct. Their priorities are relationships and interaction. Interaction meaning networking. Isn't that what we do? There should be a ton of Suns that would be interested in doing this. They're fast, they're spontaneous, they're like, okay, what do we do? I remember doing a plug call at the very beginning when I first learned how to do it. And when I finished the plug call, I had misjudged the personality type. And I said one thing at the very end. And I said, hey, listen, we're just looking to create a cool team. We want to be team law. We want to have barbecues at my house and stuff. I'd love to have you over. It'll be a lot of fun. And then I ended. We did our second follow-up call with him. And when I did that follow-up call, he said, well, when you said that we were going to be able to, like, I could be on team law, I totally want to do that. All the other things that I had said, he'd forgotten. He remembered that he wanted to have fun. That's the Sun. The Sun is, sorry, it's two, the same slide. Maybe you've been told, I can't take you seriously. You're not dependable, that's not possible, you're the life of the party, you're so cute, you're so much fun. Okay? There's Suns, and I'm going to show you a little bit later how you can actually look at the way someone dresses, the way they shake hands, the way they sit, the way they walk, and I can show you that you can actually see a Sun oftentimes based just on appearance. And I did it, and I'm going to share that story here because Mike tried to peek her, but I actually was the one that actually got her information, and I was the one who got her product in her hands. So I'll share that here in just a moment. So strengths, they're very enthusiastic, highly optimistic, persuasive, playful, motivating, bubbly, funny, they're animated. Can you guys picture people like this in your life? Picture like this, people like this on your own team. So how do you motivate them, right? Their weaknesses, they tend to talk too much. They wake up in the morning, they start talking, and then they keep talking, and then they have another joke to tell, and then another story, and then when that one's over, they get another story that relates to that one, but I forgot about what I was talking about earlier, so now I gotta bring that back up, right? Tell me that's not me. Like, that is so how I am. Okay, they love to have fun. Their attitude is if it's not fun, then why do it? So for those of you that are on the proven team with us, Mike, I want you to name one female that immediately comes to mind that's a Sun.
Danielle right there.
That's her Facebook profile picture. Okay? Her Facebook profile picture, and no one looks stupid when they're having fun. Like, I mean, she is like the epitome, like bubbly, excitable. Like you hear when if she was in this hotel, even if she was in a room, we would hear her right now. Okay, she's just excited all the time. They don't like systems. If you're trying to sell them on the idea that, hey, if you just follow this step by step, you're going to get there, because they don't want to be put inside a box. They want freedom. They want to be able to make decisions. They want to have that. And so if they don't like systems and rigid rules and all this stuff. So we can still follow the peak, pass, the plug system without it being confining. Listen, you get to talk to so many people. In doing so, you can create really good relationships. You can pique their interest. And when you pique their interest, well, now you can create a lifelong relationship where you're going to have a lot of fun with someone. Now, when you do that, though, so that you can give them the best chance, so that you can both have the most fun, make sure that you're not sharing too much information up front, and and we're putting them through through this process the right way so that they can have the best benefit. So they don't like the idea of having to be regimented and systemized. They're the ones that are like, okay, let's go to Disneyland right now. Wait, we got school tomorrow. Let's just go to Disney. Let's go have some fun, right? It's been a while, man. It's been like a week. Okay? They don't like being alone. So these are the socializers. These are the ones that when you go to a party, everybody else is surrounding that one individual while they tell a story. You go to the gym, nothing gets done if you're working out with the sun because they're telling you all day long how amazing something that happened to them about how they were driving and somebody said something funny. It's like, it doesn't even matter, right? Okay? They'll have to ask the question, why are we doing this? So they're asking the question, why? So the lightning asked the question, what? Do you remember? How. The earth asked the question, who, and the sun asked the question, why? Why are we doing this? If there's not a purpose to do it, and it's not going to be something they can enjoy, then why would they want to do it? That's their feeling. They're going to act because it's fun or exciting, or it allows them to have freedom to travel, do, have what they want. And they love being in the spotlight. This is how I knew the girl at the front desk, so bad with names, Myrna, I think. Mike doesn't even know, he's not listening. But the girl at the front desk, remember her name?
It's Mrs. Black.
Mrs. Black.
I'm being dead serious. Her name's Mrs. Black.
Okay, but what's her first name? Is it
Myra.
What is it?
Myra.
Myra, right?
Myra
I knew it was
Black.
something like that, okay?
Yeah.
So as I was walking out to my car, I'm walking past, and I'm just heading out there, and she from across the room says, "Hi," right? Really nice. So I look over and immediately knew she was a son. I knew immediately because of the way she was dressed, the way that her facial expressions were. With sons, if they're a little older, they have smile lines right here. Why do they have smile lines? Because they're always smiling. They're the happy people, right? So as they start to age a little bit, you'll notice they have smile lines. Well, she didn't have that, but she had earrings that were fun. She was dressed in a way where she was comfortable with herself and wanted to kind of show the world she was okay with that. I asked her, I said, what type of watch do you wear? She goes, oh, I don't wear a watch. And I said, well, describe a watch that you would wear. What do you think she said? She said something that is brightly colored. Sons wear a lot of bright clothing, right? Right? If you look at a son's phone case, they're the ones. Everybody hold up your phone case really quick. Let's see. Okay? There's your son phone case right there. Okay? What's your name again? Shauna. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you're a son. I never try to diagnose, prescribe, or anything in this business. Okay? But at the same time, there are certain qualities that a son is going to possess. Two of the most brightly colored people in the room, I would say, are going to have a lot of these different qualities. Okay? And there's two personality types. The next one I share is the other one that would dress bright. Now, an Earth's going to dress in muted colors because they don't want to bring attention to themselves. They don't want to be the focal point. They want to be someone that others can be supported by, and they want to be friends. They want all that stuff, but they don't want to stand out for the most part because that's how it drives them. But sons absolutely love the spotlight. They love to get up in front of a group of people and teach personality types because it allows them to share something that they know can help other people, but it's going to create good relationships. Connect using rapport. Now, the best way to build rapport is to be the same as somebody else. People do not want you to be better than them. Think of someone that you know of that's not approachable. The businessman with the suit, that's got the nice car and everything, walks with this arrogant presence. Nobody likes that guy, okay? Because they're not approachable. They're not like us, okay? The reason you need to edify your plug call has nothing to do with them being edified and everything to do with you being able to get raised up and allowing them to be humble, okay? If I put someone on the phone with Mike McLean, 15 years or whatever as a corporate executive, okay, I know we probably shouldn't talk numbers, but a really, really strong mid-six-figure income last year in his very, very first year as a distributor in network marketing. Give that dude a round of applause. That's freaking amazing. So you get someone like Annika or Landon, these people have had so much success, and Tom Wagner and Dennis, people that have had so much success in this business. I put someone on the phone with Mike McLean. That's amazing that I have that in my back pocket. If I raised Mike McLean up and I talk about all his accolades and I'm the one that says all of that, the moment he gets back on and he brings himself back down, he's now humble. And he's just like you, he's just like us. So you want to use with sons, you want to use things like, oh, I'm just like you, or that's something I love too. If you can become more and more like them, then you will build rapport and you will build a lot of trust. So when someone says something that's, you know, that you resonate with, no matter what it is, I like to build rapport by telling people how awesome they are, right? And listen, you probably notice I've used a lot of the things that I've shared today as I've interacted with you. And I hope you don't take offense to that. And I hope you realize the reason I do it is because I want to connect with all of you. I want to be able to have a better relationship with everybody. I'm not doing it in any way to try and like be manipulative. I'm doing it because I know that you can help me and I know that I can help you too. And I would love to connect. So I do things like that and I tell people how good they feel because since when does that feel bad? Have you ever had someone go, man, you're so awesome? You're like, oh, shut up, man, that's stupid, right? Okay? Like, make people feel good, especially a son, okay? And avoid using too many details, but you gotta match their energy and you gotta match their enthusiasm, okay? So they're motivated by fun, fame, and freedom is what they're motivated by, and it's about 15% of the population. So it's gonna be a bit smaller percentage of the population, but they wanna have freedom. And what does our opportunity give you? Freedom. Freedom from bad health, freedom from bad finances, freedom to spend time how we want to, freedom to have the things that we want to. Guys, we're all the same in this room. We have the capability because of what we have to have freedom in so many different ways. That's why so many sons would resonate with this. So when you see someone bubbly and excited and fun and all that stuff, talk to them. Start the conversation. You know how I piqued this girl's interest at the front desk, which, by the way, I got her information and I gave her samples.
That's crazy.
The moment I gave it to her,
her oil sample and an XM Plus, so she can just play it.
did you set up a follow-up? Did you set a follow-up appointment?
I've not got a
Okay,
follow-up.
lesson number one, write this down. Lesson number one, set a follow-up all the time, because if you don't, then Robbie's going to come in and pique that person's interest. So,
Dude, he and I compete like crazy.
we really do. When we're on the road, it's a battle, but you know, it's a healthy battle because we both know that what we're going to be doing for her is going to be beneficial. And who do you think I'm going to have as my plug call? Because she'll be my personally enrolled and he's going to be my plug call, right, Mike?
That's it.
Okay. So here's the thing. You know how I piqued your interest? This. Personality types is something, if you can walk up to somebody and say, I bet you that you don't have any hangers in your closet that are metal. Unless you got them in a dry cleaner. Lightnings aren't going to have metal hangers. Why? Think about the way it's going to make their shirt. It's going to put a crease in their shirt right here. So they don't want that crease in their shirt. If they want the crease, then they'll have the metal hanger. But more than likely, they wouldn't have that because they don't want that crease, right? So I knew that this young lady was a son, and so I walked up to her and I asked her about the watch. And the reason I asked her is because I knew she was going to say that it would either be a watch that is really colorful or gold or has diamonds on it. And I knew that that's the way she was going to explain it. And so I said, you know, it's so funny, I'm about to go do this training on personality types, and you absolutely just validated what I'm about to share about the personality type that I knew you were when I talked to you, the son. And she's like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, oh, I'd love to share more about that. In fact, I'm giving this training. Let me go grab you something really quick, and I'll come back. And I went and got samples, gave it to her and stuff, and set a follow-up call. It's a great way to pique someone's interest, is just to say, you know, I did this training, and you fit this personality type of the son so well. Well, what do you think their response to that's going to be? What's that? The moment they say, what's that, what does that mean for the peak phase of our system? They're interested, so now we move to the next phase, right? So we still have to do it tactfully, of course. Other motto is, I've got a joke for you, and after that, I'll tell you another one. Another one after that. And this is their That's the sun, okay? Now the fire. The fire, this is what has possibly been going through their mind. They're like, finally we get to talk about who actually matters, right? Okay, because seriously, like I already knew this stuff, and I had already skipped to the end, and I passed the test. If there was a test, then I would have passed it. If there's not a test, then like why wouldn't I write the test if I could do that, right? The fire, very, very competitive, Okay, now the fire, their motivation, let me skip my fire slide, put it on here real quick. So the fire is motivated by, here it is. The fire, their pattern of behaviors, they're self-contained and direct. These are the ones that they'll talk a lot of times before thinking about it. Their priority is tasks and facts, and they're fast and decisive. So similar to a lightning, in that they will, they want to know tasks, they want to know facts. They're more task-oriented than they are detailed. They're like, hey, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. They're fast and decisive, though. The moment they know what they want, these are the ones when you get on the plug call and they say, listen, I only have a couple minutes, so let's just get to the point. That's a fire, okay? In fact, let me back up to this slide. If you've heard this, you're too much, you need to relax or calm down. A lot of times that's a fire personality type. So some of the strengths, these are natural born leaders. These are some of the most successful people that you will ever meet are fires, because they are so driven. They will fail and fail and fail and fail, and they'll keep failing just to prove to somebody that they're going to succeed at some point. So they have a lot of stick-to-itiveness. They're also some of the least successful people because they tend to make decisions without thinking very often. And so they'll jump too quickly. But these are the shoot, ready, aim type. Natural born leaders, very decisive, independent, powerful, goal achievers, risk takers. And there's not a best personality type, so don't read into anything like that just because they are natural born leaders. Some of the weaknesses, they will procrastinate. These are the ones that you will give them an assignment. Okay, on Friday at 8 o'clock, or on Saturday at 9 o'clock, you have a training that you're going to be at in Boise, so make sure that you have your training ready. 2:30 a.m. last night, finally, no, it's not done, but getting there, right? I got to train for 5 hours, and I've got to teach stuff that I don't really know tons about, you know? They're impatient, they tend to argue. They call it having a good debate, but it's an argument, let's face it. They're the ones that, I got a perfect example, and I really hope she doesn't see this, but I have a really good friend, and she's the type that no matter what, there's never been a time she's been wrong, okay? Even when she's wrong, she's still right, so she changed the rules, okay? These are the ones that they say, well, at first one to the car wins, right? Kids, and then you touch the car and say, no, you got to touch the light. They are so competitive. So with her, okay, there's one quote, I really hope she doesn't see this, because I love her, she's awesome, but she's definitely a fire. And the fires don't want to be fires. So many of them are like, that's not me. And they just do this. All they do is they just make what I'm saying even more and more real. So with her, I was saying, we got this, this, and this, and there was a quote from a movie. And for so long, I knew she was using it wrong, and finally I said something, okay? And I said, no, that's not what it said. Oh, no, that's what it says. No. And then I explained why she was wrong, okay? I looked up on the dictionary the word that explained what it was that she was talking about, and she still wouldn't admit to it. So you know what I did? Because I got a lot of lightning in me, I went to IMDb and I pulled the script, okay? I found the quote, showed it to her, and what do you think she said?
They're wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. Well, because it's right there, right? Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So they love giving their credentials. These are the ones that are going to list all the different accolades that they have. They're like, if you did this, they did this, right? They're kind of the me monsters. They're like you can see them just waiting, they're waiting to talk to you, right? They're waiting to say the next thing. They like to argue and have to win. They like to connect with important people. So if you're dealing with a fire, you bring up the fact that you have Tom Wagner, who's a 19-year veteran of the industry, on your team. Hey, listen, I can plug you into a guy who's made millions in this business. That's the fire. They want that, okay? Not everybody is driven by that, and that's okay. But for them, they want to be attached to people that are important. So I will always bring up, hey, Jerem's one of my best friends. He's the vice president of the organization. I'll bring up, hey, Mike McLean, I'm the guy first year ever in network marketing, made great, mid 6-figure income, and I can connect you with him. And I will just start listing all the people. I'll send them a video of Joel McNitch because Joel does the voiceover for step 1 and 2 on Seizure 1, 2, 3. Did you guys know that? Okay, that's Joel McNitch's voice, and you'll see his face a couple of different times. So if it's a fire, I'll send them that video. I'll have Joel do a plug call. So then I can say, oh, hey, by the way, I sent you that video. the guy that was on that video, his name's Joe McNitch, and I actually want to introduce you to him really quick, and then I'll build Joel up and I'll plug him in. You know, imagine the value that has to the fire and just going, wait a minute, the guy that's like on the company's videos I got to talk to, I mean, that's something that really, really drives them. They don't like wasting time. They don't like waiting for others. They were waiting for me to get off that previous screen for long enough because it showed some of the stuff that they weren't great at. You know, they're like, hey, let's go to the next one. Let's talk about what I am good at, right? They don't like to stop and smell the roses. But if they do, they're going to count the number of roses they smelled and ask you how many you smelled that day. They're going to, oh, you smelled 20? That's awesome. 20? That's cool. I smelled 21. That's fine. Okay? They often ask what has to be done. Let's cut to the chase. What's the bottom line and get to the point? So these ones are the ones that are very, very like end goal oriented. Tell me what the bottom line is. And that, you know, if you're doing a plug call for 40 minutes with a fire, you've immediately lost them because they don't want to spend that amount of time. So we have to kind of gauge that a little bit. So with a fire, I will cut right to the chase as best I can as I do a plug call if I can see that that's who they are. Now, if they get on the plug call and start listing their accolades, that's typically a good sign that that's who they are. Sell to them by being brief and direct, make your points quickly, focus on results, focus on the successes, and then you're going to buy because it was their idea. Or because you told them not to do it and they do it just to spite you. Okay? So there's something in sales called a takeaway where you say, well, you know, I mean, it might not be for you. So if you're piquing someone's interest that's a fire, and you say, you know what, I've got this, I mean, it's probably like the greatest opportunity I've ever seen. It's probably not for you. But if you know anyone that's like really motivated, someone that's like just absolutely loves like, you know, just the ability to, you know, make good money and have a lot of freedom in their life, but they also like to be able to be recognized because, like, you know, they put you up on stage in front of like thousands of people. If you know anybody like that, would you mind like maybe feeding them my way? Because what we have is like the best thing first. But it's probably not for you, right? And now I'm making it their idea, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a minute if Mike will give me the time. Okay. The things you want to avoid, a lot like the light bees, you want to avoid obvious hooks or sales techniques. That's a mistake that I make all the time because I'm so analytical inside my own head that I look at every word as being so important, so I calculate it. But they're going to see that. So instead, just be loose with them, be open with them, be direct. They're the ones that are very direct with you. You can be very direct with them as well. Now, if you tell them you're going to be direct before you do it, then it's going to be better. Okay. One thing I taught Mike is if you're gonna be tough on somebody, you have to ask permission first. You can't just be tough with them. Right? So if I would have stood up here and said, listen guys, today I'm going to go over some things that aren't going to feel very good. But I just found that the things in life that may not feel very good can, you know, they really help open up our eyes to things that we can get better at. Are you guys okay if I bring some of those things up today and so that each and every one of us can get better? Would it be okay if I'm a bit hard on you? Would that be all right?
Yes.
Now I have permission. You just told me it was okay to be hard on you. So when I come down on you at that point, you already told me it's okay, and I can remind you of that. Mike did such a good job of that in Austin because he had a topic that he really needed to handle. He handled it by starting and saying, listen, I can do it in one of two ways. I can be gentle or I can be honest. Which would you prefer? Well, I'll just ask you. Which would you rather me be with you, gentle or honest? Which one?
Honest.
Okay, are you sure? Okay, because the truth what?
First.
Sets you free is what I was going for. Right? So in doing that, right, you know, the truth does hurt. Well, now he has a right to be very direct with them, okay? So telling them what's best for them or what they should be doing is never going to work. Guy, you need to be on Moringa. No, I don't. Right? You should really be taking a pre-workout. No, I'm good. Like, seriously, I'm good, right? So we got to be careful with that, and I'll show you how to handle that. The fires are motivated by being number one, being the best, winning, accomplishments, being in charge. Some of the people that are on my team that are fires, I will constantly make them aware that they can be on stage the next time we're at a convention because they want that. I want that, guys, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I absolutely love to be recognized for things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because what I'm doing in order to achieve recognition, guys, you realize if you hit gold, that's let's just call it like $6,000 in worth of moringa on one side and $6,000 on the other side in 1 week. $12,000. How many packs of super mix is that? What is it?
1,200.
Okay, 1,200. Is that right?
Or
120. Sorry.
I'm from Idaho.
I'm not a fire.
So
Yeah, I'm like, hello.
He is.
you are.
I'm a lightning fire.
You are a lightning. I was waiting for
Lightning
you.
fire.
So because I don't like the.
I'm seeing a lot of fire though.
Okay.
I'm Fred.
You know, I'll
I'm
show
married
you
to him.
that
I've seen some fire.
Yeah, so I'll show you that there's a few personality types that end up being a mixture where you've got a primary and secondary.
I'm still on fire.
And fire lightning is one that's very, very common. So, but if you realize that, like if you hit gold in one cycle, that is 120 cases of supermix. Think about that. Like if you really look at that, there's 32 packs in one case. If that was spread out, like that's a lot of math that a lightning can figure out, but that's a lot of people taking supermix. More importantly, that's a lot of people ingesting the most nutrient-dense plant on the planet. What if you started looking at your PB, not as personal volume, but how many packets of moringa that PB represents? You think you take your responsibility a little bit more serious, right? So helping them to see what this means is so important. It's a small percent, 15% of the population, but most executives, politicians, they're going to be, a lot of times they'll be a fire because they're driven. And their motto, it's my way or the highway, so shape up or ship out now. Let's get it done. Right? So, real quick, just overview, okay? So here's the sun. These are the ones that would be good to take a picture of because it's going to have the most information specific to that personality type. So I have this visual description scale on here that I kind of created because a sun is typically going to wear louder clothes that bring attention to them because they like to have attention. They'll wear gold watches, rose gold watches. They'll wear a ton of bracelets and stuff like that. They'll wear things that bring attention to them, and they're comfortable in that. So with a sun, you can typically, if somebody comes rolling up in an orange shirt, unless they're a Boise State Broncos fan, chances are they're going to be a sun, okay? Because they're okay being loud and bright with the coloring that they have, okay? So the other thing about a sun is this, and I can shake someone's hand and typically know their personality type, and this happened with you actually. What would you say your personality type is, knowing what you know so far?
Earth.
Okay, and Earth? For real.
Earth.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I'm older.
She
Which
thinks
one?
I'm an Earth.
Earth? Okay, what would you
Yeah.
say your secondary is?
I'd say sun.
Yeah.
Okay, an Earth sun. Okay. Well, that kind of blows my idea then.
I thought it was a bird.
Okay. It was a very firm handshake.
I do
okay?
have a good attention.
So that's, and maybe it's something that, like I said, this is not perfect science, and with personal development, you'll notice that you'll get some of the best attributes. Well, what do you think a sun is going to do on a handshake? Okay. Can I have somebody come up and help me demonstrate? Okay. Come up here. No, Paul, you come up here. Okay. This will be good. Okay. And you'll notice someone's personality type a lot of times just based on their.
So what did you think I was?
Handshake.
A lightning?
No, I mean I thought you were a fire the way you shook my hand. Okay, because fire, fire wants to know. They want you to know.
Not the way people think.
Okay.
Not that
So if you watch the interaction, okay. So a sun, when you go to introduce yourself to a sun, okay, you know they're gonna go like this. No, man, bring it in for the real thing right here. That's a sun, okay. So a sun, they're gonna be touchy-feely. They're okay with that type of interaction. They're social. They'll bring it in for the real thing a lot of times, okay? Now, fire, on the other hand, if you've ever had someone shake your hand to the point where you thought it was going to break, that's a fire, okay? If you've ever had someone shake your hand and try to turn your wrist over, which is exactly what you did, that's why I thought you were a fire, okay? A fire's trying to show their dominance, so they'll come in like this, and they'll be like, hey, you know, how you doing? They'll make really good eye contact, and they're not going to be the first to break. A lot of times, they'll wait and wait and wait until you finally feel that loosen, and then as soon as you feel it, don't try and do that. As soon as you start to feel it, you've gone on fire too, okay? You see the point, though? So if they do that, and they're really firm in their handshake, a lot of times that's going to be a fire. Can you let go, please? Okay, and then the earth, a lot of times, an earth is typically less than assertive, which is what surprises me. So a lot of times when you shake an earth's hands, they typically aren't going to make a ton of eye contact, and that's not a bad thing, you know, for them in their situation, but they don't want to bring any attention to themselves typically, and so the Earth's handshake is typically going to be a little bit more muted. He actually did a perfect job. He gave me the dead fish.
Oh, I
It's
hate
usually
that.
not that, right? You know the dead fish, right?
that.
Okay, and I'm just like, oh wow. It's getting away, right? So the Earth will do that. So there's that one, and then the lightning. How would you guess a lightning would shake hands? Okay, quick, one pump. They only do it because it's proper, and then don't touch me. Okay, so the lightning is right here. It's like, all right, now that's proper. Now we've properly introduced ourselves. Now we're systematically talking to each other, right? So a lightning will do that. Give him a nice round of applause for helping. So the sun, they're going to bring it in for the real thing. They're the fun, excited people. They're great for networking. They're great for network marketing because they have no worry introducing themselves to others. The girl at the front desk, perfect example. I asked her how she felt about it, you know, talking to other people and everything. And she was like, "Oh, I talk to everybody all the time. It helps my job." And I said, "Well, you want to have a job your whole life, or you got bigger plans?" And she goes, "I'm not really sure." Well, that's a perfect key tool. Okay, so they're the ones that are like, they're totally fine with physical touch and contact and stuff. Now the Earth, on the other hand, very loving, soft-spoken, reliable, aware, comfortable, protected, detailed. Now the Earth, a lot of times, the Earth is going to be wearing more muted colors and what makes them comfortable. Earths wear what's comfortable, not what they think other people will like on them. Okay, so they're the ones that you'll see a lot of times. You'll see an Earth wear a team's jersey because they want to feel like they're a part of the team, right? So they'll wear a team jersey sometimes, but not to show like I'm a fan of these guys, but to say I'm a part of their team. They're the ones that will wear sweats because they're comfortable, right? Now, it doesn't mean that they're sloppy. It doesn't mean that they can't dress well. They just want to dress in a way that makes them feel comfortable and good. Now, a lot of times an Earth will be the one that would be a little bit less than prone to go out and work out at the gym because they're not worried about physical appearance much, okay? The Earth, they'll wear whatever watch that comes to them. They'll wear the freaking calculator watch if they have to. They'll wear whatever they're not going to wear a gold watch. They won't wear a gold watch very, very often at all because that would bring attention to them. They're not going to wear gold chains, stuff like that, okay? The Earth loves animals. These are like pardon the way I explain it, but they're like the tree huggers, man. These are the ones that care about the environment, that care about other people. That's the Earth. The fire, intense, powerful, sure, dynamic, swift, active, very reactive, right? I have got primarily fire, and it was so evident yesterday when my wife asked for a 5-minute conversation with me since I was so focused on my computer, and I immediately reacted instead of listening. Instead of listening to what she was really saying is, listen, I need you right now. I need you to not be doing that. I immediately reacted and, well, this is so important. I gotta get this done for tomorrow. I reacted instead, and I took this route, and I apologize for that, but at least I'm aware of it, right? Okay, and so the fire, they're the ones, they love the animals. They're
only once in a while.
Yeah, they're more motivated than others would be to have some of the nicer things in life. They're more motivated to drive a nicer car. They will absolutely wear a gold watch. They'll wear a gold chain. So a fire, you can typically tell a fire if they're the one that shows up to your event in a suit and gold chain to try and show you visually that they mean something and that there's somebody, okay? Not saying that it's bad, once again. Okay, lightning, very, very exact, bold, clean, simple, precise, structured, reflective, keen, rigid, exact. A lot of times I've noticed with the lightning is a lot of lightnings do wear glasses, okay, because they want to make sure that they absorb everything that's around and they're able to write things down and then they can see everything, right? Sun or an Earth could go like years and years without ever getting glasses because they're just like, they're living. They don't really care about all those things, right? Maybe some of the specifics. They don't typically like to be touched very often. If a lightning doesn't love to have that big, huge embrace that you would give an Earth, where an Earth wants to feel supported and they would be okay with that, the sun would be okay with that, a fire would be like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I squeeze way harder than that, you know? And then a lightning, they typically aren't going to want to have that bring it in for the real thing moment with you. Their visual description scale is a little bit lower because you're going to have a lot of different variations there. One thing you will notice, a lot of lightnings will wear a silver watch, and their belt will match their shoes. Okay, they'll typically have their clothes that are a little bit more like they would iron their shirt instead of having it be wrinkly, because that doesn't make logical sense to them. You know, it's got to be clean. It's got to be that, right? But that's not always the case. But you will notice that a lot of lightnings will do that. So those are the 4 personality types. I actually bought that business where I learned a little bit about that years and years ago, and I had no idea why I actually bought it. My friend that sold it used to go and give trainings kind of like this one at school assemblies. He would go out and give these trainings at these assemblies, and his kids would learn this process, and they loved it. And he would separate them in groups, and it was awesome. But he had created a new business where he was importing stuff and doing some other thing, and I knew he wasn't using it, so I asked him for his information, and he said, yeah, I'll just give it to you. I'm like, dude, I know how much time, because I'm super professional, I called him dude. So I said, I know how much time you put into it, so because you did that, I would never expect you to give me something. You gave that much effort. I'd never expect you to give that to me for free, just like I know you would never ask for something from me for free. So I bought it from him. He was going to give it to me. I didn't know why until about 3 weeks ago, when I realized this right here can help so many people. And I'm going to give you one sneak peek of what I mean. A fire. You think they're going to have a higher stress level? Okay? If they have a higher stress level, what did Dr. Johnson teach us about stress?
Kill it.
Okay? Well, what did he teach us could help that? What do we have available? We can't. You know that there are studies proving that stress actually leads to heart disease and stuff like that? We can't prescribe anything for that. But stress, causing that, can't stress be helped with certain essential oils? So if you know that stuff, and that stress can be helped on a fire, if they're a fire, a lot of times they're going to have a higher, a higher stress job. Well, if there's certain essential oils that can help to deal with their stress, couldn't you use that? So there's a reason that I did, and I know that. And so now that you know there's those 4, once again, most people have a primary and secondary, but there's no perfect science to it. If you, first of all, were to recognize that in others, do you feel like you could have a better conversation knowing them a little bit more? I really like to know. If you guys don't, that's totally fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but I'd like to hear it. Do you feel in knowing that you'd be able to recognize what someone's personality type may be, that you could have a better conversation? What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So what if, instead of just being able to identify that, what if you could ask them, what if you could have them sell themselves? What if you could have them tell you, I want moringa? Think about the value that may have. Try and even put a dollar amount on what that could mean for this business. Because I'm going to show you right now exactly how you can do that and how we do that over and over in our business. And it's this right here. First of all, does this feel familiar to anybody who's dealt with a doTERRA rep before? I probably shouldn't say the name because we're on Periscope, but does it feel familiar where it's kind of like butting heads, and mine's this, and yours is this, and you're trying to show each other whose is better? Well, if you use questions instead of using statements, then you can make it their idea. If you say this is true, what's their response? No, it's not, or prove it, right? If you say you need this in your life, how many times, like seriously, think about this, how many times have you told someone that? Well, what's the response to that? If someone comes to you and say, you need this, well, I know what I need, right? Their response is, no, I don't. Okay, or maybe I do, but you're telling them what they need. That's not what we do, okay? We don't tell people what they need. We help them come to that conclusion themselves. You need to make changes. Listen, you're going nowhere. What? Like, how offensive is that? But it is part of our common language. If we use statements, the response is going to be up in the air. They may agree, they may not. My favorite example is my friend Troy, this was 15 years ago, told me that Tracy McGrady was the best basketball player of all time. What? And to this day, he has changed all the rules. Well, if he wouldn't hurt his ankle, he would have been, and this and that, right? Total fire, by the way. But he has just when people make a statement, they have to defend the statement. The reason Democrats don't turn Republican, Republican don't turn Democrats, is not because every Democrat believes every single thing that a Democrat has and every Republican believes everything. It's because if you have ever said something and you're now accountable to that, then we'll defend it. Okay? Who's the best college football team in the country? Okay? Who said Oregon Ducks? Okay? Why?
They have one of the best offensive plans in CFF.
Cool. Why else?
They didn't win the national championship.
Okay. I'm not asking you, Lightning. Okay. Okay. What else?
And your team would be?
Okay. But my point is this: who's selling who on the idea that the Oregon Ducks are the best?
He is.
He's selling me on that idea. What if I would have just come out and said, "Hey, the Oregon Ducks are the best team in the country"? Maybe he agrees with me, but that's my idea, not his. So instead, if you use questions instead of a statement, think about whose idea it then becomes. Hey, is having quality products important to you? Yeah, of course it is. Of course they are. Well, I'll show you how to follow that up in a second. If you could help other people, would that interest you? Of course it would. What is more important to you, time or money? Okay, what if you would have said, hey, time is way more important than money? Well, some could agree, some could disagree. What do you need to do? Isn't what do you need to do a lot better than you need to do this? So now it's their decision. Okay? So the way to follow this up. So if I was working with someone and I said, hey, you know, if I've taken them through a process, what do you need to do is not going to be the beginning question that you would ask somebody. Okay? You would lead up to that. But if I were to ask someone like a question like, you know, is having quality products important to you? And they say yes, what should I follow that up with? My favorite sales question. Why? It's the best question that you can ask your prospect. Why? But it's got to follow something, because this can really backfire if you do it wrong. Okay? But if you ask the question why, just like I did here, who's the best football team? He says the Oregon Ducks. I said why, and then he immediately started selling me. If I ask the question, hey, do you, let's do this right. What's your name again?
Heather.
Sorry, Heather. I'm terrible with names. I'm great with. I write names on people's foreheads in my own brain so that I can remember because I'm visual. But
Yes,
so now
me
I
too.
got it. So it's got it. So Heather, is having quality products important to you?
It is.
Why?
I like taking care of my health and wellness.
Yeah, that's just like me. Why else? She's having to try to find
like,
ideas, right? She's trying to find reasons why they're important to her, but that was her idea, not mine.
Right.
Why is why so powerful? Here's why. The moment you ask the question, they will begin to sell you.
Right.
Okay? If they're the ones selling you, then we have posture. Okay? This question will further their feeling deeper and deeper. The more times you ask, now obviously you're not going to just be like, why? But the more times you're able to ask them why, the more secure they are in that feeling. You know, is having the best nutrition that God had ever created on this earth that we have ever discovered in your diet on a daily basis, do you feel that that would benefit you? Okay? Lindsay, do you feel it benefit you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I value my health and it's important.
Okay, so that's a great response, and that's going to be typical of what anybody would say. How would you follow that up? So I asked her why. She just sold me on that idea. Okay, why she wants it.
What are you
So
using
how would I
now?
follow up?
What quality products are you using now?
Okay, you could go that route.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, tell me more about. That's a really good one right there. See, I told you there's more knowledge in this room than there is in me. That's awesome. Tell me more about why. Or what if you build commonality? Okay, or first of all, like not role playing here. Is having the best nutrition on earth something that's important to you personally? Okay, well, if it's important to you and it's important to somebody else, what if you build commonality? Say, you know what, I'm just like you. That's so important to me too. I definitely want to have the best nutrition available to me too. What you really just did there is you just had them tell you that they want Moringa. That's really what they said. I want to have the best nutrition that I can get. Well, if we haven't brought up the part about Moringa yet, so you know it's interesting. I actually found some of the most nutritious plant on earth in a really bioavailable way. I would love to share that with you. If if I did that, would that be something you take a look at? Right? So now we can move to the next step. But if you ask the question instead of giving them the answer, you got to make sure we do it the right way. If somebody says, like, if you ask the question, hey, it's time to get involved or whatever, and you say, hey, what package makes the most sense for you? And they say, well, I'm not ready yet. And you ask the question why, what are they going to do? They're just going to list every single reason they're not ready. Okay? So we have to be in control of that. So don't ask the question why to a negative type thing like that. Say, I'm not ready yet. Why? Oh, because I don't have any money, because my family will think I'm weird, I'm not in a cool car like you are, like all these different things, and they'll just list all the reasons. So that's not a good time to use it. So if you ask the question why, they will solidify a belief in something no matter what it is. So I bet you believe that the Oregon Ducks are actually better than, because they really sucked last year, dude. Okay? But, whoa! My point is, he's a Marine too, right? I really messed that up. Okay? But my point was that, his belief in the Ducks can become stronger just by asking that question why and then furthering it with tell me more. Okay? So, questions allow people to develop their own convictions. If it's their idea, they'll work to defend it, and they'll rarely change positions on that. So if somebody says, are your essential oils all natural? Well, is having all natural products important to you? Yeah. Why? We can start sharing all the reasons why they're important. And guess what we have? All natural products. All the things they're saying that are important, they can now benefit from. So when is the best time to improve your health? Sooner or later? That is an obvious, undeniable truth. So what I like to do is I use an undeniable truth followed with the question why. So they're obviously going to say sooner. Who would say that it's better to have better health like down the road? Okay, there's may not be a down the road for some, right? Okay, so we ask the question why. So an undeniable truth. When is the best time to improve your health? Sooner or later, followed by a why. Okay, so let's just do it right here. When's the best time to improve your health? Sooner or later? You better not poke the tiger right now because I'm on fire.
Of course, now, yes.
Okay, now, why?
Because I want to be healthy
Yeah,
and happy.
exactly. Why else?
Because I want to, make things with my kids.
That's awesome. I'm just like you are. And a great response once they answer why is, I agree with you. Because now you just agreed with them. They said that now is the time to get started. So it was their idea, and now you're agreeing with them. If we have to say, do you agree with me? Well, now we switch the tables. But in doing it this way and asking questions instead of using statements, and then following that with a question why, you can further their belief in whatever it is. Okay? So they can also be a good indicator of interest. And I love to use what's called a porcupine question. If somebody threw you a porcupine right now, what would you do? Throw it right back, right? Some call it hot potato questions, but I have porcupine questions. Zig Ziglar. So are your essential oils all natural, or do they have added chemicals? Throw the question right back. So the prospect asked that, what was having an all-natural product important to you? Yeah, of course it is. Why? They explain to you why. So now they're selling you on the idea that that's important. They asked the question, so they're showing they have interest, but now you're letting them have a further, deeper belief in that. So you know what? I'm just like you. We really are the same with that. It's great. We do have all natural products, right? So whatever it is. A good friend of mine, Andy Tanner, says, never tell them anything you can ask them. So let them tell you how important that is, okay? So some just quick ideas on questioning skills. Have them say it and they have to defend it. If you don't like how they respond, change your questions. Over and over and over, we have an opportunity to practice this stuff every day as you walk past people. Instead of that, maybe looking to strike up a conversation as you're checking out at a grocery store, as you're checking in at a hotel, as you're talking to a friend or neighbor out front. Whatever that is, you've got an opportunity to practice. And keep a journal with specifics and responses and questions you like to ask. The best that I've ever seen at this is a young lady, most of you guys know her name's Lindsay Ford. Her plug calls, she asks some of the best questions that you can even ask. And she will ask that question and let them tell her what their vision is. And they'll tell her why they need to have something. And I don't even know if she's doing it consciously, and she's just maybe just great at rapport, but she's able to do it very, very well. So in closing, as I wrap up and went way too long, first thing I said today as we were talking about this is to use this stuff at an ethical level. How many of you, by raise a hand, will commit to using this stuff, but also to use it at an ethical level? Raise your hands high. Make sure we get everybody on that. That's awesome. And then always be open to critique. Guys, if there's something about what I said today that you didn't feel resonated with you, and you tell me it's not going to hurt my feelings, and I would hope that you would have the same open-mindedness with me and also with your leaders. And in saying that, I can tell you with confidence, if you are actively seeking opportunities to connect with people, and you're actively making yourself available to others, you can create deep connections. The best part about this business for me is guys like Mike McLean, like Amica and Fred, the Douglases, Lindsay Cervantes. You know, I say it right, by the way. Nailed it. Totally Spanish. That's the best part of this business to me, because it allows me to create. I didn't even know who Mike McLean was a year and a half ago. And based on what I've heard, at that time, it was probably a good thing. Right? But in the year and a half or so that I've known him, I have watched that guy not just transform his body. He's lost 43 pounds. 45. He's a 5. Okay, so he hired him. So Mike, I have never, in 13 years of personal development and motivational speaking and things, I have never seen someone grow as quickly and as effectively in 1 year as that man right there. He's become one of my best friends. And those types of relationships are what this business can be about for each and every one of us. And you can create strong, lifelong relationships. And not only that, we have an opportunity to change tons and tons of lives. If you take this seriously, and you take it upon yourself to do what you can to develop who you are, become a better version of yourself, you can help other people do that too. And there's huge opportunity to do that. Thank you so much for allowing me to come up from Salt Lake, coming up and training on this.
Thank you, Robbie.